I am JoLaine Miner. I will be discussing labor standards and construction management. All Rebuild Illinois grants are subject to the Illinois Prevailing Wage Act, the Employment of Illinois Workers on Public Works Act, also known as the Preference Act, Illinois Works Jobs Program Act, and the Business Enterprise Program for Minorities, Females, and Persons with Disabilities Act, otherwise known as BEP. The first act is the Illinois Prevailing Wage Act. This act requires payment of prevailing wages for all construction funded in whole or in part with state funds. It requires all construction contracts to contain a stipulation that all laborers, workers, and mechanics performing work under the contract be paid no less than the prevailing wage applicable to the project. It requires all bonds of contractors contain a provision guaranteeing the faithful performance of the prevailing wage clause provided by the contract. Compliance of the Illinois Prevailing Wage Act is enforced by the Department of Labor, Illinois Department of Labor. Please be aware that DCEO will not render a legal opinion as to the applicability of the Prevailing Wage Act to your project. Please consult your own legal counsel for this opinion. The grantee will be required to report on Prevailing Wage Act compliance. For information on Prevailing Wage Act compliance and reporting requirements, please visit IDOL's website listed on the screen. So this is a screenshot of the Illinois Prevailing Wage Act website that can be found at illinois.gov/IDOL. And it is where you can gain access to the administrative code, current prevailing wage rates, a list of debarred contractors, and reporting of payrolls, certified transcripts of payrolls, and other information for the compliance of the Illinois Prevailing Wage Act. So the next act is the Employment of Illinois Workers on Public Works Act, otherwise known as the Preference Act. So this act is also enforced by the Illinois Department of Labor. It is applicable to construction-related activities. Entities must employ at least 90% of Illinois laborers on construction projects during periods of excessive unemployment. An Illinois laborer is defined as one who resides in Illinois for more than 30 days and intends to become or remain an Illinois resident. Excessive unemployment is defined as any month immediately following 2 consecutive calendar months during which the level of unemployment in Illinois exceeds 5% as measured by the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics in its monthly publication of unemployment and unemployment figures. Compliance is enforced by IDOL. Violations result in financial penalties dependent on the gravity of the violation. You can read the full act at the link listed. Questions, please call IDOL's Conciliation and Mediation Division at 217-782-1710. Additional information can also be found on their website. The link is listed here on the screen. Next is the Illinois Works Jobs Program Act. The Illinois Works Jobs Program Act is administered by DCEO's Illinois Works Office and includes the Apprenticeship Initiative. The Illinois Works Apprenticeship Initiative sets an apprenticeship goal for public works projects estimated to cost $500,000 or more. The apprenticeship goal is for the U.S. Department of Labor certified apprentices only to perform 10% of labor hours actually worked, or 10% of the estimated labor hours in each prevailing wage category, whichever is less. Public works is defined as all projects contracted or funded by the state in whole or in part from appropriated capital funds that constitute a public work under the Prevailing Wage Act. A project is defined as activities established by the agency and set forth in the grant agreement or contract that are funded in whole or in part by appropriated state funds. The Illinois Works Budget Supplement will be sent with the executed grant agreement. The Illinois Works Budget Supplement is used to determine if the apprentice initiative applies to the grant-funded project. The grantee will complete the scope of work and define the project for which public funding is being provided. You will then forward the completed form to your DCEO grant manager, and please retain a copy for your records. If the initiative applies, which it does to most Rebuild Illinois grant-funded projects, you will then submit completed, signed quarterly reports to your DCEO grant manager. More information on the Illinois Works Budget Supplement and other reporting forms can be found on the website noted below. DCEO Illinois Works Office may reduce or waive the 10% apprenticeship goal upon a determination that the applicant, grantee, contractor, or subcontractor has demonstrated that insufficient apprentices are available. The reasonable and necessary requirements of the contract or grant do not allow the goal to be met. There is a disproportionately high ratio of material cost to labor hours, making the goal infeasible. The apprenticeship labor hours conflict with existing requirements, including federal requirements in connection with the public work. The grantee submits the waiver reduction form to their DCEO grant manager, who then reviews the request and makes a recommendation to the DCEO Illinois Works Office. The form can be completed any time. If you know that during the term of your grant you cannot meet the applicable apprenticeship goal, please request a waiver or reduction as soon as possible. Okay, last but certainly not least is the Business Enterprise Program for Minorities, Females, and Persons with Disabilities Act, BEP. BEP establishes a goal for contracting with businesses that have been certified as owned and controlled by persons who are minority, female, or who have disabilities. It requires the application of a BEP utilization goal for all state-funded contracts. Grantees must submit a utilization plan for the established BEP, MBE, and WBE goal sent in conjunction with the executed grant agreement. So I'm going to try to answer some anticipated questions. How is the BEP utilization goal determined? 3 things that are looked at to determine the utilization goal are the amount of funds budgeted, the scope of the project. What are the funds being used for? Is it for water and sewer construction, building construction, land development, or for road improvements? And the availability of CMS BEP certified vendors in the area that are able to perform the work under the contract. How do I know what my goal is? With the executed grant agreement, you will receive the BEP goal letter. With the letter, there will also be a utilization plan to be completed and returned to your DCEO grant manager and a copy to me. It must be emailed to ceo.lso@illinois.gov. Can I start procuring for professional services related to the construction of my project, but not award the contract? The answer is no. No Rebuild Illinois grant-funded cost can be incurred prior to the receipt of an executed grant agreement and the application of the BEP goal. Professional services cost paid for with other funding, while still subject to 2 CFR 200, may be incurred after the receipt of the environmental clearance letter. Professional services is defined as services rendered for the design or architectural engineering for the construction or installation of a construction project, the construction management and observation oversight of a construction project, or the completion of environmental assessments, wetland delineations, archaeological surveys, or historical properties studies, surveys, only when done as part of a larger grant-funded, bondable project. If you have started the procurement process for professional services and your project is funded by Rebuild Illinois grant funds, you must rebid those services after the receipt of the executed grant agreement. These activities are subject to BEP. Okay, the utilization plan. The utilization plan is used to document compliance with the Business Enterprise Program and the BEP goal. The grantee must demonstrate that it has met the UP goal or at least made a good faith effort to do so. The utilization plan goal can be met by entering into contracts or subcontracts with BEP certified vendors for the purpose of value of work performed for construction activities, materials and/or supplies, fees to certified vendors for a professional service, fees for the delivery of materials. Please note that there are stipulations regarding the applicability of fees for the BEP goals. Please also note that the general office expenses and grantee support activities are ineligible and may not be counted toward the BEP goal. Completing the plan. First, complete the assurance and compliance section of the utilization plan. Complete section 1 for each CMS BEP certified vendor. Complete section 2, the demonstration of good faith efforts, only if the BEP contracting or subcontracting goal was not achieved. All sections of the utilization plan must contain the signature of the authorized official. Section 2 of the utilization plan is the demonstration of good faith efforts to achieve BEP contracting and subcontracting goal. You must demonstrate that the following efforts were completed to allow for participation by BEP certified vendors. If not, a written explanation is required. You presented the project in a manner where BEP vendor participation was accessible and feasible. You solicited BEP participation through reasonable and available means, written notices, advertisements, and allowed sufficient time for response. Provided timely and adequate information about the plans, specifications, and requirements of the grant agreement, and followed up initial solicitations to answer questions and encourage BEP participation. Negotiated in good faith effort with interested BEP vendors. Made efforts to assist interested BEP vendors in obtaining bonding, lines of credit, or insurance when required for the performance of the grant agreement. And you utilized resources available to identify all available certified vendors. Okay, just a couple more questions. I submitted my plan, but I now have to change a vendor. What do I do? The BEP change vendor form will be sent to you after the department's review of the BEP utilization plan. How does BEP compliance affect my grant funds? Grantees must submit partial lien waivers with the request for payment in order to receive grant funds. The lien waivers are compared with the utilization plan to ensure compliance prior to approval and release of grant funds. The final request for payment shall include the final lien waiver, which includes the amount of all contracts from subcontractors and suppliers for which final lien waivers were not previously submitted. Both the partial and final lien waivers will be sent with the change of vendor form after the department's review of the BEP utilization plan. If you have any questions regarding BEP in relation to your grant-funded construction project, please contact me at the information listed on your screen. Okay, the next few questions have to do with BEP certification. Does the contractor or business have to be certified with CMS BEP as a minority-owned business or a woman-owned business to be awarded state-funded contracts? Yes. You can find the certified vendor directory at the website listed on your screen. The contractors I normally see interested in this type of project are registered as a disadvantaged business in Cook County and Chicago Minority Supplier Development Council. Can we use that certification to comply with the BEP requirement? No. The disadvantaged business must be a CMS BEP certified vendor. However, if the business is already certified by one of the following entities listed on your screen, it may complete a recognition certification affidavit. That affidavit can be found on the BEP website, which I will give you on the next screen. How long does the BEP certification process take? The BEP certification process takes approximately 60 days. For information regarding the BEP certification process, please contact the Illinois Department of Central Management Services Business Enterprise Program at the contact information listed on your screen. Thank you for your time today. If you have any questions regarding any of the 4 bodies of law that we have covered and the application of these acts to your grant-funded project, please contact me at the information listed. Thank you.